Something interesting about working on a J.K. Rowling film is that the films have such, they reach so far that the world, as far as we're concerned, it's like we never leave them, because whether you're making the video games or voicing the Lego characters or working in the virtual reality, the characters, you're doing that over the time between films. So or reading the audiobook, there are so many other aspects to it that actually what's wonderful is you can go and do other work, but the character sort of sits burning inside you a little bit. A sort of ember of Newt is sitting there, and what I love, and it's totally unique for me to firstly come back to playing a character that I've played before, but also with the same band, bringing the band back, is that you come back with a shorthand, with a knowledge of the way each other works, but with an absolute appetite to push and shift and change and not just fit back into a way of working. At the beginning of the film, his book's been published and it sort of made him a celebrity, which is hilarious and awkward in equal measure. But really, he remains true to what his passion is, which is his creatures and his magizoology. But bigger things are at stake here. And he is actually, even though he won't admit it, nor will he want to be, he doesn't want to be pulled to anyone's side. He's a lone wolf, Newt, in some ways. And yet, because the stakes going on in the world are so high now, he's being pulled in different directions. And part of the journey of the film is Newt realizing that although he has his own passions and he's always taken his own route through life, there come moments when you have to choose a side, and that's where he finds himself towards the end of the film. One of my favourite things about the new film is the beginning of the exploration into Newt and Dumbledore's relationship. I think we all can kind of relate to that. Those teachers that you got on particularly well with, you wanted their approval. But I think what's interesting in this film is one of the reasons that Dumbledore loves Newt is because he is so true to himself. There's no way that Newt's everyone's cup of tea, and certainly probably wasn't many of the staff at Hogwarts' cup of tea, but he has something unique to him and special to him that Dumbledore saw. The last one feels like an adventure. This is a thriller. It's taking these characters that you've met, this quartet that you've met, and the roots of them being embedded back into the folklore, the Potter lore that we all know and love, and really the characteristics and histories that were hinted at in the first film really being torn back and explored, and with that comes a darkness. There is a new threat as Grindelwald mobilizes, and the stakes are just that much higher, and with that comes a tonal difference, and David talks about it in terms of it being a kind of almost like a Cold War thriller. There's a steeliness to it, and in and amongst that you have the creatures, you have the Nifflers, you have Jacob and Newt's sort of Laurel and Hardy, the lightness remains, but there is definitely a depth to it. For me, what I love about this film is Jo has taken the characters that she introduced us to in the first film and is really just showing how they are woven into the lore of the Potter series. You get to go back to Hogwarts, you get to meet Dumbledore, you get to meet these people that we've missed, and yet this is seeing them at a different stage in their lives. This is seeing them when the stakes were different but incredibly high. And so there's a kind of, for me, this film has a freshness to it and a depth and a rooted kind of darkness to it. But also a newfound familiarity that I love.
Hey there, here's today's Daily Fact. Now, Waterworld, the critically panned Kevin Costner action movie, couldn't manage to stick to a budget of $100 million, thanks to difficult sets and major demands allegedly made by both cast and crew. In fact, the set itself, built in the middle of the ocean instead of on a soundstage, was so difficult that everyone involved had to jet ski to it. In the end, the movie cost a staggering $175 million to make. Now remember, click here below to subscribe, or over here for more great content.